We believe it's very important to bring both parties to the negotiation table to discuss Iraqi security issues. We can't currently make this happen, with both countries trading accusations against each other. Hoshar Zebari, Iraqi Foreign Minister.
Welcome back to Inside Iraq. We are discussing the U.S. allegation that Iran is supporting Shia militias to destabilize Iraq and attack U.S. soldiers in Iraq, with David Foley from the U.S. State Department and Piruz Mujtahidzadeh from Tarbiyat Mudarris University. Gentlemen, Mr. Piruz, most of the evidence garnered by the United States was actually taken from captured Shia militias. They were trained by the Iranians in Iran, and then on their way back to Iraq they were captured. And the story goes that they are being trained by Hezbollah members, the Lebanese Hezbollah members in Iran, simply because of the language. And not only that, but a former senior Hezbollah operative, Mr. Daqdouk, also is captive held by the U.S. This is the source of the information.
You have just quoted Mr. Zebari, the foreign minister of the Iraqi government, saying that two sides are trading accusations against each other. The two sides are trading accusations. That is the answer to the earlier question you put to me.
As a diplomat, he would say that, wouldn't he?
Accusing Iran.
As a foreign minister, not wanting to avoid his country being in the crossfire between Tehran and Washington, he would say that.
He cannot lie. He cannot lie through his teeth.
In that case, let me quote you the same man, Hoshar Zebari, in the past, who said, we call upon Iran to stop meddling in our affairs because they are supporting the Shiites.
And before that, Zebari and the president of the Iraqi government said that these are all false accusations. We have no problem with the Iranian government. Before that. You see what happens here is this. We all know, the whole world knows, the problem we are talking about in Iraq started with what? With lies and accusations from the United States of America that Iraq or Saddam Hussein's regime was producing nuclear bombs and etc., weapons of mass destruction, and they found it. They have evidence of finding those things.
Go ahead, David.
Have they ever put on display the evidence?
Professor, let me interrupt here for a second.
The big lie?
The key point here, I think, is obvious to everyone. And I would say that it's not American accusations. These are Iraqi accusations against the Iranian government, as we've seen very clearly. Certainly the United States supports the Iraqi government about this. This is the constant Iranian answer that we get to every sort of problem that comes up in the world. When the IAEA says, look what Iran is doing, they say, oh, everything is a fabrication, none of this is true, and yet we see repeatedly that it is true. Hezbollah, they're not providing support to Hezbollah.
All accusations.
Except for the fact that the report that just came out did not say that.
Nuclear weapons and nuclear industry, they investigated Iran for years and cleared Iran of all accusations.
Well, unfortunately, that's not true. The latest report from the IAEA makes very clear that they have not been cleared, and that's why we have seen repeated sanctions.
Please have a look at the text of the reports.
Have a look
I've read it carefully. It obviously and clearly does not clear them.
Let me ask you the following question. Why is it Iran stopped a scheduled meeting with the United States simply because Jaish al-Mahdi of Muqtada Sadr is being attacked by the Iraqi government? Simply they said, unless these attacks by the government stops, we are not going to talk to the Americans.
Probably you would find the answer in the earlier action by Iran by trying to help to broker a ceasefire in the activities of Muqtada al-Sadr's group with the rest of them in Basra, and the ceasefire went on for at least a couple of years. Does the United States of America remember that?
Look, what the United States of America remembers is the fact that these militias are killing other Iraqis, civilians, Iraqi military, as well as coalition forces. It's the Iraqi government that has had to go on the offensive against these groups to protect their own country, to protect their own people.
The Iraqi government is not being genuine, is not being fair. When it cracks the whip against Jaish al-Mahdi and Muqtada Sadr, it doesn't do the same thing against Al-Fadila, it doesn't do the same thing about Tharullah, it doesn't do the same about the Badr Brigade, which is the very creation of Iran currently in the saddle and running this government. So why attack Jaish al-Mahdi alone when other militias are really rampant all over Iraq?
Well, I think the important thing is to look at what are these militias doing. I mean, certainly the Iraqi government would like to control all militias. At the moment, the militia that is providing the most damage to the integrity of the Iraqi state is obviously the JAM. They are the people who are carrying out all of these attacks against Iraqi government forces, and they are the ones who are need to be confronted by the Iraqi government.
General Petraeus said everything that is happening in Iraq is the blame should go to Iran, including, I suppose he means, the militia that are being supported and weaponed by the United States of America, the Sunni groups. They are also Iranians to be blamed for that as well, I suppose.
Well, certainly Iran is to be blamed for all of the training and military equipment that's coming across to these special groups. Blame it on Canada. Well, no, I think the important thing to note here is Iran is spreading instability across the world. I mean, you know, we see this problem now in Lebanon, where Iranian-backed Hezbollah is now attacking other Lebanese.
What are you going to do about it, David Foley?
That's what
this is a difficult issue. What we started this discussion about was about talks. So let me just speak about that for a moment. The United States government were not the people that canceled or suspended the talks that the Iraqi government was trying to arrange together with the Iranians, the United States, and the Iraqis. It's the Iranians who canceled those talks. We have had talks with them in the past. We are participating in a dialogue through the P5+1 process, which has reached no success and no progress at all. The Iranians just deny everything. In every forum where we try to engage with the Iranians, there is never any success, there's never any progress. And I think it's difficult to blame the rest of the world, including the United Nations, the IAEA, the United States, the Europeans, when no one ever gets anything from Iran except weapons, combat, death, destruction, and instability.
Perhaps that's the gist of the policy, Peruz Mujtahid. What David Foley is saying, that basically you are supplying arms to anybody in order to create chaos and instability in Iraq, simply because somehow the United States is just going to give up and leave.
That's not the case. When there was the question of withdrawal from Iraq, if you remember, it was I, personally, me, Peruz Mujtahid, who told international media that that is the worst thing that the United States of America can do. United States of America, from the Iranian point of view, must stay in Iraq and clear out the mess that they have created. They must not go out and leave the mess for the regional people to deal with, and which will indeed lead to a major war in the region. No, I don't think the Iranians are up to that sort of things. The thing here is this, that the United States of America at the moment is engaged heavily in the question of presidential election, and the U.S. President, George Bush, and his lot are worried that if their choice of presidential candidate, that is McCain, is not to win the presidential election, then the option will be that whoever else comes in will stop this mess in Iraq and will put an end to this geopolitics of New World Order by force and by use of arms.
David, you heard the accusations. You have nothing to do except to blame Iran.
Well, look, I think that the progress in Iraq is obvious. The Iraqi government wants to continue to exert its authority across the country to bring stability to that country. And the United States obviously would like to leave Iraq as long as it's a stable country that can be at peace with its neighbors and be a source of stability in the region. You know, this is not about the presidential election campaign. This is ridiculous. This is a worldwide problem.
But David, judging by the last 4 or 5 years,
Iran
is not going to relent. They are not going to stop either the training, financing, or the arming.
Well, let's see what happens. The sanctions will continue to grow on Iran. The international pressure will continue to grow on Iran. We want to see a change in Iranian behavior. However, I also want to address this idea of some sort of military action. We are seeking a diplomatic solution to this problem together with the Europeans, all of the Arab allies in the region and the Gulf. Everyone wants to see a diplomatic solution to these issues. We are not looking for military confrontation with Iran. However, we do want to see Iran change its behavior.
You heard the veiled threat, Peruz Mujtahid. So far, our patience is still there, but if Iran does not change, Somehow, perhaps the next president might consider a military action.
You said that veiled threat. The threat has been unveiled for a long period of time. Mr. Bush has made sure that he will come out with the ultimate conversation in terms of how they will kill, massacre people of the Middle East. However, what happens here is this. David is talking about the whole world joining America, sanctioning Iran, and passing resolutions, etc., etc. He talks in a way that as if other people in the world do not see how these things are being done, how arm twisting, horse trading leads to this sort of things. And the Russians and the Chinese and everybody else also signed those resolutions in order to satisfy George Bush, in order not to start a war against Iran. I invite you to remember the second time that the direct negotiations with Iran about Iraq stopped. The American negotiators answered to the media what was the problem that it stopped, said that the Iranians do not admit that they are at guilt. What kind of negotiation is that? That
on that question, Feroz Mushtahedzadeh, we will wrap this. On that question, we will wrap this program. Thank you very much, Feroz Mushtahedzadeh from Tarbiyat Mudaris University. David Foley, a spokesman with the U.S. State Department. Gentlemen, thank you for being guests on Inside Iraq. To access the show and to send us your comments, please go to aljazeera.net/English. We have reached the end of this show. Join me next week when we take another look inside Iraq. Goodbye.